Ghana is betting on a new railway era. China is at the table. Ghana is moving to reshape the backbone of its national transport system. And this time the plan is not just about roads. The country is laying the groundwork for an intercity rail network that its own railway authority says could become one of the best performing sectors in the national economy by 2028. At the center of that ambition is a deepening partnership with China. But the road to that future is not without obstacles. To understand where Ghana is going, you need to understand where it is right now. For decades, Ghana's colonial-era rail network sat deteriorating. Once spanning close to 935 kilometers of track, large sections had become unsafe or completely unusable, with rusted rails, degraded sleepers, and zero meaningful maintenance. The railway that once moved bauxite, manganese, and cocoa from the interior to the coast had been replaced almost entirely by road transport. And that shift has cost Ghana enormously. Transport and logistics costs in Ghana currently account for between 50 and 75% of the retail price of goods, according to figures cited by the African Development Bank. That is not a statistic. That is a structural brake on economic growth. The government under President John Mahama has acknowledged this problem directly. The response is a two-phase infrastructure program called the Big Push. Phase 1 is focused on roads. Phase 2, according to the Ghana Railway Development Authority, is about rail. The GRDA chief executive, Dr. Frederick Apo, stated plainly this week that the second phase of the Big Push will be centered on revolutionizing national transport through the railway sector. The goal is not modest. The 2026 Railway Master Plan targets a rail connection to all 16 regions of Ghana, driven by a combination of government investment and private sector participation. Now here is where China enters the picture. Ghana and China are in advanced negotiations to formalize a cooperation agreement on railway development tied directly to the Belt and Road Initiative. The specific focus of those negotiations is a rail corridor connecting Ghana's two main seaports at Tema and Takoradi to the Boankra Inland Port near Kumasi in the Ashanti region. The Ashanti Regional Minister confirmed these talks following meetings at the Third Belt and Road Forum in Beijing, describing negotiations as far advanced. On the ground, Chinese engineering firms are already embedded in Ghana's infrastructure landscape. China Railway No. 5 Engineering Group, known as CR5, is currently active in Ghana and has been operating under the Belt and Road Framework. The company describes its work in Ghana as embodying the principle of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits. Whether rail contracts follow road contracts depends on how fast the diplomatic groundwork converts into signed agreements. The GRDA has also highlighted a 188-kilometer corridor along the Kumasi Expressway route that could accommodate high-speed intercity rail linking Ghana's major urban hubs. Feasibility studies for that corridor are on the table, with the connection to Boankra described as a vital design requirement. That matters because the GRDA CEO has been direct. Without a functional railway link, the Boankra Inland Port risks becoming a white elephant. That is not an idle warning. The Boankra Integrated Logistics Terminal, a $308 million project that has been in development since the era of President Kufuor, is currently severely behind schedule. As of April 2026, the project had achieved just 6% of its targeted construction progress against an expected 20% milestone. The Asantehene Otumfuo Ose 222 issued a stern public warning at Manhaya Palace on the 4th of May, cautioning that abandoning or further stalling the project would result in massive financial losses and damage investor confidence across the country. The GPHA board chairman responded by confirming that the railway component of Boankra has been deferred due to high capital requirements. For now, cargo will move by road until the rail funding picture clears. That deferral makes the China negotiations even more significant. The question for Ghana is not whether a rail connection to Boankra is needed. Everyone agrees it is. The question is who finances it and on what terms. Meanwhile, the GRDA is not waiting on that answer alone. The authority is moving forward on cargo services using existing infrastructure. Dr. Apo confirmed this week that new trains capable of carrying between 20 and 30 containers are being introduced, with cargo services expected to begin as early as July 2026. The cost is pegged at $10 per ton, a rate designed to offer a competitive alternative to road haulage and begin generating commercial returns from the existing network. The 2026 Railway Master Plan has been described as a document built in partnership with GIADIC and GISTEC, designed specifically to attract private investment by showing clear returns tied to Ghana's mining sector. Manganese, bauxite, iron, and cocoa-producing regions are all identified as anchor cargo sources that can justify the economics of rail investment. The plan is being taken on a national roadshow to engage potential investors. The bigger vision is connectivity. The Kumasi to Pega Central Spine Railway Project, a proposed 559-kilometer line running from the center of the country to the northern border with Burkina Faso, remains part of the long-term rail master plan. That line would open economic corridors to the north, reduce hinterland transport costs, and create a transit route for landlocked neighbors including Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. In a region where trade infrastructure determines economic leverage, that is strategic territory. What Ghana is attempting is not simple. Rehabilitating a collapsed rail network, attracting billions in private investment, negotiating a meaningful partnership with China under the Belt and Road Framework, and completing Boankra on time are each difficult tasks on their own. Doing all of them simultaneously while managing funding gaps and political transitions is the real test. But the signals coming out of Accra right now are more coordinated than they have been in years. The GRDA has a plan with teeth. The government has committed to protecting rail corridor land alongside new expressway construction. China's engineering firms are already on Ghanaian soil. And the country's most consequential inland logistics project is under active pressure from the Asantehene himself to be completed. Ghana's railway era is not here yet. But the tracks are being laid politically, diplomatically, and literally. And if the China partnership converts from negotiation into construction, this story will look very different 12 months from now.